We begin with the devastating aftermath yet again of Hurricane Helene.
President Biden is touring the damage in the state of Florida right now before heading to Georgia in the next hour. The death toll from Helene has now surpassed 200 people across 6 states. Nearly 1 million people are still without power now 1 week after that storm made landfall.
There is also increasing scrutiny of the federal response to the storm, with people saying that they are still struggling to find food, water, and other supplies. The president announced yesterday he is deploying 1,000 active duty troops to hard-hit North Carolina to help assist in search and recovery efforts in some of the hardest hit areas.
Leading us off this hour, NBC News correspondents Ryan Nobles and Marissa Parra. So, Ryan, we'll start with you. You are in Valdosta, Georgia. President Biden is in Florida right now on his way to Georgia next. Talk about the federal response to this storm so far and what kind of damage the president should expect to see when he arrives.
Yeah, Zinkley, there's no doubt that President Biden is getting a very up-close and personal view of just the path of destruction that this storm left over several states here in the southeast. He was in North Carolina and South Carolina yesterday, took aerial tours of the damage there. Today, he is in Florida, in the Panhandle region of Florida, and then will eventually make his way up here to Valdosta in southern Georgia. He took another aerial tour this afternoon to Perry, Florida, which there are parts of that community where every single home has been completely wiped out, and he got to see that firsthand. He's met with first responders in Florida and will then chopper up here to Valdosta. Now, Georgia, in this particular part of Georgia, really took the least of the brunt of this storm, but that doesn't mean it's still not catastrophic. I mean, you can see here behind me this building in downtown Valdosta. This is an old furniture store. It was in the process of being reconstructed, but it just was tore apart by this storm. And as we travel around this region, it is hit and miss. Some streets, there is still a lot of damage, trees down, power lines down. Not everyone has their power restored. And there is trouble for some folks to get access to food and water. We've seen local restaurants that have opened up tables standing outside where people can come up and get free food and water. So the need here is still great, and President Biden is going to see that firsthand.
All right, Ryan Nobles, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being there. 11 of the more than 200 deaths now from the storm are in Tennessee, and there is a major need there for more supplies for people who lost everything.
NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra is at a donation center in Bristol.
Well, certainly, if you're a NASCAR fan, you've heard of Bristol Speedway. Maybe you've even been here, but certainly not in this capacity. They have transformed this entire campus into a disaster relief center. And what you're seeing in front of me are just some of the boxes waiting to be filled with basic necessities. You look at the labels here and you see these are really basic things. On the other side, I'm seeing dry dog food, hygiene, first aid kits, batteries. And of course, over here, we have some of those other life necessities like water, like Gatorade. And this is just a small example of this massive multi-state effort to get supplies to people who need it in those stranded areas. We have seen the creative ways that both federal agencies and local volunteers are doing exactly that. Whether it is taking a horse or taking a mule up a mountain with shattered roads, impassable otherwise, or even people donating their time in their own private airplane, their own private helicopter. We've seen all of those stories. And interestingly, even stories of how people are getting information where it needs to go. Amateur radio, ham radio, that is transmitting to people who are stuck in their homes at the top of mountaintops. So as we talk about these horrendous stories, these stories of devastation, of grief, of people still searching for their family members, for each one of those devastating stories, there are stories and people just like these ones behind me of people trying to help any way they can.
Such important stories. Marissa Parra, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.